All right, so I already went forward with this project. I originally wasn't going to make a video, but here I am making a video because I'm doing a few things differently. So I've cut my chipboard. Again, you could use cereal board, cardboard, the back of a notebook board, a sketchbook board. I've cut it to 5 by 8 inches, and I am going to glue it to my cover. Now the cover was printed on HP 32, a little bit stronger than copy paper. And I'm going to just very simply glue this on. Now I'm using the light board so I can see where the artwork is. It just makes life a little easier for me. And I'm making sure that I have plenty of glue along the edges. Oops. Yeah, the printer's going too. I have a couple of different projects in the works right now, so I need to multitask. All right, so now I don't want to feel this gooiness through the paper, so I'm actually going to level it out and make sure that it's all across the edge. Now, and it's already pretty much drying, so I'll give it some more. Okay, now I'm going to set it up to the outside edge and just line it up. If it's not perfect, I wouldn't worry a ton because we can trim, but we do want it lined up as straight as possible. Yeah, I'm gonna move that in. If anything, nudge it in a little bit so that you're sure that the artwork is even with the cardboard when you cut it. Now, oops, with smearing the glue as I did, it's less fudgeable, so keep that in mind too. But that should be fine, and anywhere that it doesn't quite go, we're going to ink anyway. So same with here. Do the back. Now you can also simply lay one piece of the chipboard on the back of this sheet and then cut them out, and that's probably the smartest way. But my hands still don't like doing heavy cutting manually. So that should be good. I'm going to stick this down here. See, I did not squeegee it so that I can move it, and then I'll just give it an extra dose of love with the bone folder. Okay, get rid of that. Now, I simply have to go along the outside of our boards. Oops, I have a little rip down there. We'll take care of that. Or we'll make it part of the whole shindig. And I feel like I'm not even here, so that's going to be interesting. But everything is interesting. So I went to Joann's over the weekend and was really so sad. And I bought, what did I buy? Let's not buy what we don't need, and let's not buy what we think we may someday make, because I already have piles of that. So I bought some of these guys. I bought these. It was a great deal. It was a few dollars. But it was just so depressing. So how's that for a cheery video, friends? Okay, so the back came out great. The front, I've got a little bit of inking I'm going to have to do to get rid of that, or frankly, I could just trim it right now. As soon as I find my ruler. No, I'll just ink it. It's not enough white. I will have to fix that down there. But anyway, okay, so I got that. So speaking of inking, let's use this old cruddy one. See? It's going away just like that. That corner is going to get cut off. It may work in my favor. That there's a little tear there. It looks kind of fun. I might tear some on purpose. So I'm not going to go too wild, because I still have to chomp the corners, but I wanted to make sure I can make that little white stripe disappear. So now I've got to decide, here's my front, I know that. I'm going to go with my 1/2 inch. There we go. And I have to decide how I want, which smudge I want to show more. So the tape's going to be over here, but it actually makes more sense if the dirty part's here, because that's where your hand would be. So I'm going to do these sides. There we go. All right, so now, where's my little thing? Now we have to go at it with the smudger. Perfect. Okay, front and back are done. Now I'm going to continue getting my signature together. All right, well, while the printer is still printing, I'm going to show you what I'm doing for the spine for this book. So I didn't want to use the book tape or the gaffer's tape because it's black. And I felt like, no, this is so brown and pink. And so I went in and I found some scraps of fabric that I thought would do a better job for me. And I liked this frayed edge, but I still wanted the stability that you get by adding fusible interfacing to the back of it. So what I did is I cut it to size, which is 2 inches, but I didn't put the interfacing at 2 inches. I took maybe 1/4 inch off, so that when I place it down here, when I glue it down, I can keep that frayed edge, and I really like that. In fact, I'm trying to make it do more, and I'm hopeful that as I use the book, it will fray some more. So that's not going to be as possible with top and bottom, because I did kind of do it to size, but we'll fudge around with that when the time comes. So, but I wanted to let you know that that's what I did, and again, that's in the other video, just to put some fusible interfacing on the back of your fabric so that it won't shift a lot when you glue it, and it also bonds it a little bit better, you know, gives it a little bit more stability. So, still working on those signatures. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm going to get my signature ready. I have a bunch of these papers, comes with the kit. Oops, that would be upside down. And then a few I had that I'd already printed out from designing some other kits. So I'm using a combination of those papers. And I'm just going to fold this in half. Actually, I'm going to fold these the right way. So I'll be back when I'm done. Okay, so what I meant by I'm going to fold them the right way is I'm going to fold them individually. And that way I can get a really solid crease. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 signature pages plus what will be my end papers. So my printer was set to blow it up. So this is way larger and not exactly what I was expecting, but we're going to go with it. And I'm going to fold the end papers with the design in. Okay, and that's going to go back here. Perfect. All right, so now since I folded each individually, you can see it makes a very tight, sharp crease on both sides. I'm going to clip these together and take it to the sewing machine and zip it right straight down. All right, so I zipped it down on the sewing machine. What I didn't realize is I had a denim heavy-duty needle in, because the last thing I sewed the jeans. So I've got big honking holes, but that's okay. So now I'm going to close this right back up and right on the seam. Now I didn't do any tabbing, you know, tacking back because I'm going to cut this anyway. So I want to, before I do that, let me give it some real love. Both sides. I'm going to run some glue along that spine. Just so, like I said, when we cut it, it will be intact. It won't just rip apart anywhere. So it's important that we get it on the stitches, not on the paper. So like this can all be just taken off. And this we just want to make sure that those stitches are well covered. And we're going to let that dry just for a few minutes. All right, so that's dry enough for our needs. And now I feel more confident that I won't lose my stitching. All right, so now we have our covers. And what we want to do is figure out where we want to trim. So we want to leave a little bit of space here. So maybe about a 1/4 inch on each side. I'm sorry, 1/8 of an inch, not quarter, not quarter. Just enough, just a little smidge. And I'm going to then just mark this, that's where I want to trim these papers. Whoops, I'll figure that out. So now, to trim them, we could just do it here. I might one day, sometimes I just take it to the paper cutter because my paper cutter is pretty heavy duty. So let's do that. But we'll do it here now. So it's just, again, easy, simple strokes. Push them away as you go. And you'll get a nice clean edge. All right. Except for that, that's going to get cut off. All right, so that's great. So now we want to cut this to size, which is 8 inches, which I am going to do on the paper cutter. But what we want to be aware of is where we're cutting. So you can see here, I want to cut these edges off, and it just fits. So I'm going to do that right on the paper cutter. I'm going to mark it for, or measure it first to make sure. It should be about a 1/4 of an inch. Yeah. A bunch of 1/16. So I just want to be aware, and we can give it a little fudge when we put it on the paper cutter. But you could also just as easily mark it and do it this way. All right, so mine fit very nicely, and put the back cover on and just do a little test here, and it's going to stick out just a little. So now we just have to round the corners of the signatures. So same thing, the 1/2 inch. We'll just go quickly through this. All right, so now I want to mark this at the front and the top because I will miss that later. Now we just need to glue this to this. So the easiest way to do that is to get a piece of scrap paper. We want to protect our page. And I'm going to stick some glue on here. Now, same thing, we want to remember to get the edges. So now we just line this up here flip it over and see how we're doing on this side. Looks good. Keeping the glue, the sheet in there. Finding a bone folder to make sure that it's sticking. Little glue goes out, which is good. You can see I did not cut this one perfectly, so we'll definitely just ink that up. You'll never know. And now, same thing for the back cover. Now, one thing I did not do with these, largely because it's just such a crappy day outside, is I did not varnish them. I usually use the 2X sealer on them, and I didn't do that to this one. So now, same thing. Make sure that it's correctly on. That looks good. Yeah, I wonder if I had printed this upside down, so I wonder if it, you know, in printing, if you zig, you gotta zag. So I'm gonna get this on straight, because right now it's not. That will make me crazy. There we go. Much better. And any trimming that we want to do, we can, as long as it all fits together and it closes nicely, and that's what we want. All right, so other than some trimming that we might do, there is simply, now this I can cut off since I know it's glued on, so we don't even need that. And now we're just going to add our spine. So I think, since I know I can't trim this, I can trim this later, but it'll be easier if I do it now. I think I'm going to just do it now. So let's see. Let's start. That's about full size. Gonna let this one go over a little bit, because like I said, I want it to fray eventually. So I'm going to mark here how far in I want this to come. And that would be about 3/4 of an inch. That leaves a little extra, so I'm going to make it come out to about an inch here. Now I'm just going to put a little line that's reasonably straight. Let me do a test. Put that there. That folds over, and that looks terrific. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So now it's just glue this baby up. And like I said, I didn't make the interfacing go all the way to the edge. Because I'm really just using it as a stabilizer, and I don't really need it other than to keep the fabric straight while I get my act together and get it glued on. So I'm gonna do this, and I do want it to go to the edge, but not too much. There is an up and down to this fabric. So I'm going to just stick it on. Beautiful. Much better than if I had used the black tape. Now I'm going to close the book. Fold this over to the back side. Run my fingers, glue and all, along the spine. And I could have run, and should have run, a little glue on the spine itself. I've done that in previous books. So definitely do that there'd be some glue there. But there is some glue there, and there's glue on the fabric. So there we have it. All right, so now I'm going to snip into this fabric once it dries and then fray it up a little bit. I'm going to open it, check out my gutter. Yeah, it's not bad, but I'm going to come back in and make it even tighter so that my hinge is pretty. Look at that, right? Can you see that? How beautiful that looks. And now I've got this beautiful diary for bird lovers and lots of fun pages in it. Some ephemera, some ledger pages. Go create the awesome.